Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from Key Largo. It is Thursday, the 13th? And once again, it's another hot day here. The weather's fine, it's dry. We have some thunderstorms coming in, and there's not much to say about it. You know, we have a nice, actually it's kind of quiet here. The weekends are kind of busy. Where I met some really nice people that just recently moved into the neighborhood, and they were told by some of their neighbors that we were a good place to go. So I'd like to say welcome to Scott and Kayla. They lived on the mainland, but they bought a house down here, in Key Largo, and we welcome them. Also, we have a lot of listeners. I have a bunch of downloads from Bucharest, Romania, and Helsinki, Finland, which I don't know what that's all about, but that's very interesting. So we just keep it up, guys. I imagine it's quite nice right now in both those places. Maybe a little warm in Bucharest, Romania, summertime, but Helsinki's way up north, so maybe, I don't know what we're looking at, probably 28 degrees centigrade or something like that, because in Europe they're all different, and I wish we were over there now, experiencing the cooler weather. So I'm not going to be talking about COVID-19 today. I'm going to be talking about cleaning house. Just recently, I don't know if you're a avid listener to the show, you'll know that I had a push mower, just a human-powered grass push mower, one of those rotary mowers, and down here pushing that in the sweltering heat, I'd have to sit down like 2 or 3 times in order to get part of the lawn done. I thought I was smart. I was smart when I bought it because I thought I was smart because I'd be getting something that was quiet and I'd get some exercise. But then I'd also realize that I didn't want to have that as my obit. Guy dies mowing lawn from heat prostration. So I made a step and I bought a electric powered lawnmower, one of the ones that take battery packs. And another reason why I had a push mower is so I didn't have to worry about bothering my neighbors, so I could do it anytime. And I really don't like the sound of lawnmowers myself, so I got these. I bought off on Amazon, and that sucker took me about a quarter of the time as it would normally take to do the lawn with the push mower, and I wasn't nearly as hot left over. I actually only finished half the drink I had. I had a club soda. So it left me with one of those push mowers, and everyone would drive down the street when they see me pushing that mower around, and you kind of slow down and say, what is the guy pushing on his lawn? It looked like maybe people thought I was dropping seeds or doing something, but a lot of people never have seen a human using a rotary mower, at least in this part of in the 21st century. So I ended up ordering for Amazon, getting this mower, and it worked great, and you heard that. So it left me with the thing, how do I get rid of the push mower? Who the hell is crazy enough to get a hold of a push mower? So I went to the Modern Yard Sale, Facebook. I took a picture and also emptied out a couple other items, that at one time I rented baby equipment to vacationers. That's like cribs, pack and plays and stuff like that. So I was emptying that out. I got rid of one of my folding cribs, a cot that is sealed in a bag, a baby bath chair, and a folding crib, and I put it on Facebook. And so that's the new, and I put free, and I put the address. So what happened? I'm thinking, I just had the lawnmower, and I take everything out, and I put it in the front on the street and then I took a picture of the items. I listed what they were. I said it was free. I put the address there, and what I started getting was, I got first message. I got, well, listen, we'd like to get a hold of some of that equipment, but we can't pick it up now. Could you set it aside? Could you set it aside so we could pick up later? So I guess they don't really get the idea is why I put it alongside the road and posted on Facebook. I didn't want any questions. I just come and get it. The stuff's good. I said, I just put it out, and there it is. And then also got the so with the push mower, someone called up and they asked if I had a truck, and they wanted it delivered, a free item delivered to their house. Which, who wouldn't? I guess in this day and age, when you got Facebook, they have, people are getting messages that you won a Facebook lottery. You have to do, just send me the money. Could you deliver it to my house? That'd be great. And so the same person asked if I had a truck, and I'm like, I'm not even responding to this. And they're asking for my address, where the address is posted in the listing. And then the final item was for the mower. The person asked, does it work? Does the mower work? And, I wouldn't necessarily put something out alongside a road for someone to pick up if it didn't work. I know people don't really, not all like that. Maybe they just put junk alongside a road. But what I do is I put it in nice, presentable fashion, so when someone picks it up, it's ready to go. So it's a push mower. So I said to the person, you do realize it's a human-powered push mower. So if the human works, the push mower will work. And they say, okay. And then they asked me how far I was, and I said, well, I'm sorry, I thought I posted it in there. And I didn't mean that sarcastically, and I went back, and there it was. Rest assured, there was the address. So it's kind of interesting that even with all the advances we had with Facebook, it's as if you had a yard sale and someone came to your yard sale and wanted to buy some equipment from you. Let's say if you had some weight training equipment or something, and they said, well, this is kind of heavy, I don't have room in my car. Do you have a truck? Maybe you can drive it there? And I just bought it for $5. Yeah, they want you to deliver it too. Now in this case, it's free. It's interesting when you're giving something away. Sometimes people do ask, and I've seen in the past, they ask if you could deliver it to them. If I was going to deliver it, I would just drop it off at the Salvation Army or Habitat for Humanity. I'm not trying to be crass. I'm trying to be, this is good equipment. Come and pick it up. That's your job. And I understand some people are needy and things like that. And I get that, but they do have time to, be on Facebook looking for things. And then you also have a group of people out there that just they will pick it up and probably put it up for resale. So I don't know where necessarily we're going with society. If you consider, 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I remember a friend of mine asked, I was getting rid of something, and they said, oh, if you need to get rid of something, just put it on Craigslist curbside pickup. And Craigslist, I guess, I don't even know if it exists anymore, but you had a listing for every township, and you put in you put a item and you put a picture of it, and someone within an hour or two, people will come and have it picked up. What I did in Facebook, I posted all these yard sale groups on Facebook. So I hit all the keys and the upper keys and Almirada, and I thought, because I said free, that people wouldn't necessarily call and ask questions. Because of something, as a salesperson, if you're selling something for money, yes, you have to give out the features and stuff. But if you're giving something away, I understand if something's broken, why would you want it? You might be able to fix it, but the things we have aren't broken. The things I'm giving away they're there, and I don't feel the need that I have to answer any questions with that. Because hence, posting a picture of it, listing the name of each item: cot, folding crib, push mower, and address, and that's all the information you need. I was a little confused when I got the phone calls. So perhaps maybe in the future I can come up with another type of description where I can put it with the item and say, listen, it is what it is. It's there to be picked up. There's no negotiating because it's free. Some places you have to even put $1 down or something, like for sale, $1. That's why I always hated the yard sale item when you would the old yard sale, when someone would come up and negotiate for an item that's already low priced, as if you went to the dollar menu at McDonald's and said, yes, I realize these cheeseburgers are $1. I'd like to get them for 50 cents. I mean, I understand the idea that people think that everything's negotiable, but when it's zero, the only negotiating for delivery and special treatment and moving things, putting things back and then bringing them out for somebody sounds a lot like almost saying, hey, I know it's free, how about we'll take it off your hands and $20, meaning give us $20, we'll take it off your hands and we'll take that item. Otherwise that's called garbage, and garbage you just take right to the dump and you pay for it, which I could have done. No problem. Take all my stuff, boom, 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 drive up to up north of Key Largo. They have a public dump, and all you have to do is you drive. If you've any listeners, if you've never been here, at least in the United States, you drive your vehicle with everything you're going to dump in it, whether it's a truck or a trailer or something, and it gets weighed. You go and dump it, you separate it as well as you can, and then you come back and you park on the scale again with your vehicle, and the difference, I wouldn't necessarily make sure you don't use the bathroom while you're there, because you'll get charged for that too, because obviously you'll be that much later. So it would just charge you the difference due to subtraction on the weight. You'd have to pay, $3, $4 to do it, plus that's all it costs you. I mean, I don't like being wasteful. I don't just throw things out. I like, if it's in good condition, I like someone to have it. But there's such a thing as being overly, I'm searching for the word, to be overly, this is a bitch. This is what makes me think I might have early onset dementia, or maybe just the right time dementia. Being overly accommodating So, oh yeah, of course, I'll drop it off. Yeah, do you want me to set it up when I go there? Now, I'll do that for a friend. Hey, listen, I have this. I'll take it and I'll drop it off and stuff. But if I'm giving something to you, I do expect you to pick it up. You know? So that is that. And it's an interesting phenomenon. So we're going to take a break now and I'll be back in a moment. Thank you. Okay, we're back. And you heard about my travails of trying to get rid of good items I've had, and it's not a real travail, or hardship, but it's interesting how people would ask you for a favor when you're actually doing them a favor when you give them something for free. On another thing, this is Key's Bartender Show, and I do appreciate all the downloads from places like Helsinki, Finland, Bucharest, Romania, and all the India. I think I'm getting India. And I'm just wondering, I do understand at this point now that Washington, Virginia, either there was several downloads from that, so I'm not necessarily sure if it's a company, a podcasting company that's just uploading episodes or not. But it's interesting how we do get the downloads show up, and with the tools that you have with a podcast, you have statistics telling you where the device was that it was downloaded in, whether it's downloaded to someone's hard drive or to it's always downloaded to a hard drive, really, I guess, or downloaded to a smartphone, a Chromebook, or item, and it breaks it down to all those items, what service it went with, whether it went with pod, let's say with iTunes, with Spotify, iHeartRadio, and it breaks that down. And supposedly I think I'm supposed to get demographics, but I haven't figured out how to use that yet. So I find it, with podcasting, people say, how do you know how many people are listening? I don't necessarily know, because I actually have a production company that has access to my shows, and we haven't been working really closely recently since COVID-19, and prior to that we stopped interacting, but I think they still have access to my feed, and they have access to the show. So we're going to have to talk about what how many people actually listen to it. So I think if we're about 5,000 a month, 5,000 listeners a month, which isn't too bad. It's a lot larger than before, and it looks like we're having another jump with that. And we know Bucharest, Romania, I understand Finland, there's a lot of probably English speakers there, because with Finnish, what would your second language be if especially with COVID-19, you start running out of Netflix and all this other stuff, and then you want to start working out. So what's the next logical? I think with stay-at-home places, when there was an outbreak, I think people had a certain amount of time. They went through everything they could access in entertainment. They started doing new hobbies, baking, working out, things like that, and they're just running out of sources of entertainment. I mean, movies aren't there. There's no new Hollywood releases. There could be other ones from other parts of the world, perhaps, but right now maybe people are looking for this media right here, the podcast, and maybe that's the reason why I get this. I get currently, it's about 40 to 50% of the listeners are from Florida or South Florida and the Keys, and then the rest are from the rest of the United States or other parts of the world. Just like Washington, Virginia. When I say Washington, Virginia, I don't mean Washington, D.C. And I thought for some reason that it's not an Obsessed fan, because I rarely get any messages from them. I don't know if I'm posting correctly. If you really want to contact me, my email is jim@keysbartender.com. I haven't really heard anybody. I've gotten interviews on the show, but I've introduced on a live programs. We're going to be doing a live talk, a call-in show every Tuesday at 1 p.m. rain or shine. We're going to be doing, well, and maybe not this week. I don't know if we're going to be in, I am going on a vacation this week. I probably, if we are stopped, I'll do a short one. And but my intention is to have a live call-in show 1 p.m. every Tuesday, and I will submit a number for that. So if I do, I get at least 2, sometimes more people listening live. But unless you do that the same day every week, week in and week out, you'll never build up an audience. That's the way I see it. So with me, I'm always looking for content. I need content for my show, and a lot of it I get through interaction with patrons that come into the restaurant. I get interesting concepts and things like that, like like I said, the new phenomenon of foregoing yard sales. People not doing yard sales; they just put the item up for sale in Facebook Marketplace. And I'm sure there's another. I saw a couple other places that. Apps where they would sell things, but Facebook seems to come up with the more, since people are on their platform already and they're members of Facebook, why would people join another app in order to sell their stuff? Just like ebooks or the one where they bid on everything, such like that. So here we are developing, and what I found is like on Netflix, they're starting to introduce after you go through all the Hollywood content, and in the United States there's English. There was a whole bunch of English shows that people binge watch because there's only a certain amount of American shows out there. So you had the English shows, then you have Australian, you have this, and now we have my speculation is that the foreign cinema is not too far behind. We're going to be starting to watch TV shows dubbed in English from Korea or France and things like that, because there is only so much content out there for people to watch on these streaming services. Yesterday, I watched a Korean movie called My Way. Now, once I saw the title, I thought it was based on a Frank Sinatra song. There was a song of his called My Way, and it may have been an autobiography of Frank Sinatra too. But what it was a story about a Korean guy pre-World War II. In the 1930s, he became a marathon runner, and he was in Japanese-occupied Korea, and all of Korea was occupied by Japan, as well as Manchuria and other places. I don't think the rest of Indochina fell until after Pearl Harbor. But in the mid to late 30s, Japan was created the Asian Coast Prosperity Sphere. Under the guise of Asian business cooperative, when it was really a military occupation. And this young Korean guy gets inducted into the Japanese army, and he goes to fight in northern Mongolia. And the Japanese in Mongolia, eventually the Japanese Imperial Army came in contact with the Soviets in the Far East, and that was the first. I think the Japanese first experiences of wholesale losses when they were started contacting the Soviets in the Far East. So this Korean gentleman who's running the whole time, every time he's in whatever, like when he's in the Japanese army, he's running around and, training. And eventually when they're, I'm not going to give the whole thing away, but what the boiling point that boils down to is he fought for the Japanese and was captured by the Soviets, ended up in the Soviet camp, and then fought for the Soviets on their western border, which was the Eastern Front for the Axis, and he got captured by the Germans, and as a German prisoner, they inducted him into foreign-born member of the German army, and was sent to the Western Front, to northern France, to Normandy. And he was in Normandy the time of the invasion by the Allies. This June 6, 1944, if I remember correctly, with my knowledge of history. And and then he ended up being captured. So the day of, it's based on a true story. So when it's inspired by a true story or based on a true story, there's the essential service. The essential message was there was a Korean guy who had fought in 3 different armies, owned, and the Soviets being the only allied ones. And it was unembellished because sometimes he did shoot American soldiers, and he shot Russians. He may have shot Russian soldiers, shot at German soldiers, but they inducted him into their armies subsequently. The only soldiers he didn't shoot were Japanese who had invaded his country. Kind of ironic. He fought almost everyone in World War II except for the occupiers of his homeland. But I found it an interesting movie, and you find these things on Netflix. And you got to be careful with the spotty history, because just think of it. There's the events that occur. We know that D-Day did happen, and we did know that American soldiers, and it's recorded, American soldiers did capture people in German uniform who they've captured Poles, Danish, all people from occupied territories, and prisoners. I'm sure there were Russians in German uniform. Almost every country that they've occupied, I bet there were people in those uniforms. The Americans are one of the few forces that didn't use at that time people that conquered in their uniforms. Now you can question whether the American Indians served in U.S. Forces, and they served as windtalkers and things like that. Yes, that's a good argument, but what I'm suggesting is that it's a unique story that you would find these people on the Western Front, and they were just like, how in the hell did you end up, how many miles is that, 10,000 miles away? Because Korea is in the far eastern part of the Asian landmass, and Korea is way up there at the top of China, and the Korean border, North Korea's border abuts China, and it's not too far from what Soviet former Soviet territories to north of that. So yes, it's very interesting. And also, what was another show on Hulu? There's a show, but this is not going to be endemic of me being more gets exposed to foreign shows, but The Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood's novel of 1984 5 about dystopian present where the United States has been taken over by a Christian fundamentalist sect and be renamed Gilead, and it is a theocracy, a male-dominated theocracy where women aren't allowed to read, and there's levels of people in the society where you have handmaids, you have Marthas, you have aunties, they call them, and things like that. And you have the men that run Gilead are called commanders, and then you have guardians who are the soldiers and things like that. So it's an interesting story. It's in the third season. They got a fourth season that was suspended by COVID-19, and I strongly urge people to watch that. I found it very difficult to follow it because it was a Christian fundamentalist group, but it was also environmental in its outlook. And if you ever run by any of these militant Christian fundamentalist groups, they're not environmentalists, they're more dominionist, meaning you could do whatever you want. You could kill as many animals as you want. You could burn as much fossil fuels because God gave them the earth to subdue, so it really didn't matter what they do with it. So rarely see any Christian fundamentalist groups become environmentalists, but they're using electric cars and stuff like that, and they're cleaning up the water and everything, which is I think it was. I don't know why they would have changed the story if that's not wasn't. I didn't read the book, but I did see the movie in I think it was made in 1986. Robert Duvall was in it, and they were pretty much just Christian fundamentalists at that time in the movie. But in this story, they're kind of interesting, and they're very brutal. They're almost like the Saudi Arabians with the kind of rules that cutting off people's hands and stoning people to death and hanging them and shooting them in the head and stuff like that. It's not necessarily for light entertainment, but it is compelling entertainment. And unlike this show, I don't know if we're compelling. So for now, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a later show, but I do like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank people all around the world: Helsinki, Finland, Bucharest, India. I saw the United Kingdom, France. I apologize if you're trying to learn English, because you're not going to be learning the most correct English from me, because I don't necessarily have the strongest grasp of the English language, and I may have heard that I have a smattering understanding of Spanish and French more so than Spanish, and then Polish. But as you can tell by my English, you can see that would probably be a difficult follow for people if they heard me speaking French or Spanish. You could tell my Spanish language co-workers, they probably could tell you a thing or two about how I command the Spanish language. I like to welcome anybody who comes down to Keys. Come down and see me at the Catch Restaurant in Key Largo. And if you do like the show, please try to listen to the live show at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. Inform me if there's a better time for that. If there's a better time, if I can get at least one person to listen on a regular basis and call in at a time. I'll probably have to. I've been opening up. I have not had one call in yet, even though I established a number on Skype. But I'm going to keep on doing it. As if you are a follower of the show and you've listened to previous episodes, I have no shame. I am shameless, meaning I'll keep on doing it. I don't have a sponsor now, a real sponsor yet, but I don't have to really. I don't have any obedience to any group or any sponsor right now. That's why you'll hear me get really political about things. Oh, and recently, I didn't really discuss. Before I sign off, I'd like to congratulate Joe Biden for picking an excellent running mate, Kamala Harris. There's a lot of people that don't like her. They call her all sorts of names and things like that, but I think she's a tough customer and a brilliant politician, and be a very strong candidate. And I think they're going to have a tough time with that. And if all goes well on November 3rd, November 4th, we should know that America may be back to its own trajectory of more freedom, not less freedom. Okay? And that the media isn't the enemy of the people, and the government's here to serve the people, not the other way around. And that we don't have oligarchs, enriching themselves and lying to us and putting bogus arguments up for why they deal with foreign powers or adversaries who give information, who are meddling in with our electoral system. And hopefully we will see better days coming soon. And I probably, if you don't really like politics, you're not going to probably like the next couple months coming up, because as the election goes, we're going to do that. And the Keys are a battleground just as any other place. We're part of Florida. I hope that we can get the Keys to go Democratic this time around, and maybe Florida, and that we're on the right side of history. Once again, thank you for listening. Share with a friend, become a subscriber. As much as you be an advocate for the show, because the more listeners we have, if you think there is a message here for people, spread it around. People are like-minded. And I'll be back. Thank you for listening, and have a great day. Let's get the music going, huh? Let's see. Yep, here it goes. Did I? I don't know if you hear it right now. I don't hear it. But we'll see.